This is the Padua Podcast Network.
I really appreciate the folks that are continuing to come to work in the grocery stores and other places where, we need to get our necessary supplies. And I actually work for a food company, and I know, my company is taking very seriously the need to keep those supply lines going. So I know that's definitely going to happen. Running a Fever, episode 207, Coronavirus, COVID-19, or SARS-CoV-2. Welcome to Running a Fever. My name is Michael Davis. This is a podcast about medicine, diet, and fitness, not necessarily in that order, but today it is. And I want to welcome you to this special edition. It's a regular episode. I'm going to call it number 207, but it is being released out of order. As soon as I finish recording this and uploading it, it's going to be released. I thought it was important. I'm still on a break. I'm still in the pre-announced break that is going to go through June. So you will see, I'm looking forward to coming back and doing regular episodes starting on Wednesday, June the 3rd, and they will be weekly after that. So yeah, I'm still, the reason that I took that break, I've got some things going on, and I've been really busy. I've driven thousands of miles this month, and it's the month of March 2020, and been very busy. And but I'm looking forward to, things are going well, and I'm looking forward to being back soon. So I'm recording this in March of 2020. As I said, I know that probably everyone listening to this is affected by this issue. And I thought you might want to know my thoughts and how I'm approaching things. So what we're talking about is a virus. It is part of a category of viruses known as coronaviruses. So it's also referred to as the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, Wuhan Coronavirus, named after the supposed origin, which is a province in China, or COVID-19, which means coronavirus disease of 2019. The official name right now is Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, or SARS-CoV-2. So let's start with the basics. What is a virus? Viruses are considered biological entities, but not living things. If they were living things, they would be far more numerous than humans. They would be the most numerous life forms on Earth. And by the way, humans don't get along nearly as well with viruses as we do with bacteria. So they cause disease associated with our fight to rid our bodies of them. So SARS-CoV-2 is a virus. Why are we so concerned about SARS-CoV-2? What's all the hubbub about? I believe that the main concern is that it's new. So we don't have specific vaccines. All a vaccine does is to provoke an immune response in the body, and that's how we fight viruses on a personal level. There are other ways of treating it, and of course, I urge you to consult documentation, professionals, etc. I am not. As always, I'm not a doctor of any kind, and I'm not really a very good scientist either. I'm just on a journey and sharing that with you. But that's the basics of a vaccine as I understand it. Now, the virus is also widespread, which is a reason for concern, and it is called a pandemic. So, you probably heard this term thrown around. What is a pandemic? Sounds like pretty ominous. A locally widespread infection is called an epidemic. So if something has been, confined to, for example, one country, it might be called an epidemic. When an infection spreads worldwide, it's called a pandemic. Now, SARS-CoV-2 isn't the only pandemic that we're facing right now. There are two that are currently affecting the world right now, other than the COVID-19. And these are HIV/AIDS which has been around since 1920, and MERS, or Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which has been around since 2012. These are still active pandemics. The earliest known pandemic was the flu, which lasted from 1847 to 1848. And there have been many since that are no longer pandemics, including many flus, bubonic plague, encephalitis, Spanish flu, Asian flu, cholera, Hong Kong flu, VCJD, swine flu, Ebola, and most recently the Zika virus in 2015-2016. So these are pandemics that, they happened and then they became no longer pandemic. So, as usual, I'm going through questions that I kind of ask and answer in order to kind of get through what I think the main topics are. And as always, if you have specific questions about anything related to diet, fitness, and medicine, you can contact me, mail@runningafever.com. Next question. Will I die if I catch the coronavirus? And the answer to this is probably not. And this is true of any virus. Less than 4% of cases result in death, according to the WHO. Varying numbers, 3.4%. Possibly they expect maybe long-term would be 3%, something like that. So what does this mean? By comparison, SARS has a 9.6 mortality rate. Swine flu has a 0.02% mortality rate, and MERS, which is another current pandemic, has a 34% mortality rate. And the mortality rate for seasonal flu is 0.1%. So, 4% or less, it fits in there somewhere. The CDC reports that 80% of deaths are of people 80 or older. And if you have heart disease, diabetes, or lung disease, you are also at a higher risk of severe illness. So there you go. It depends greatly on your situation. Also, something that varies greatly depending on your activity and who you are and what you do is the answer to the question, will I catch the coronavirus? So the virus is spread between humans via particles that are put into the air when someone coughs or sneezes. So the less you're exposed to these things, the more isolated you are from other humans, the less likely you are to catch the virus. And this is why so many people are staying home as much as possible and keeping their distance from others when they are outside the home in public. Now, in fact, the current recommendations to avoid catching or spreading it are the following, which you can review at any time on Google's homepage. It's called Do the 5 or something like that. But just go to google.com and you'll see them right there. Or you'll see, something you can click on right there. Hands, elbow, face, feet, and feel. Hands, wash them often. Elbow, cough into it or sneeze into it. Face, don't touch your face. It's practically impossible. I've heard that we touch our faces like 3 times a minute or something crazy like that. But that is, helps spread the virus. Feet, stay more than 3 feet apart. And feel sick, stay home. The CDC expects most people in the U.S. to be exposed to the virus in the coming months. Now, I just take that for what it says. Being exposed doesn't mean catching it, doesn't mean getting ill, doesn't mean anything else other than being exposed to it. But, that's a lot. Most people in the U.S., that's a lot. So that is the case. Why bother trying not to spread the virus? I mean, why bother? We're all going to get it anyway, right? I think the main concern, as I mentioned before, is that this is a new thing. So we've had pandemics in recent history that were more like the flu. And we've been basically preparing for that type of pandemic. And this is different. It's not another of the flu pandemics that we have successfully overcome in the past. So we need more time to develop a response. And the more we can slow the spread of the virus, the more people will be able to take advantage of these responses as they are developed and made available. So that's why we're sort of trying to slow the spread as much as possible to give us time to develop response. Now, every year I get a flu vaccine, not because I'm concerned that I'll get the flu. I mean, I've had it before and it's been no big deal. But if I get vaccinated, I'm less likely to spread it to others who might be more vulnerable, either physically, like older folks we've talked about, or economically, like anyone who couldn't easily take a day off or someone whose job is more critical. And this is how I look at the efforts to slow the spread of SARS-CoV-2. If I can keep myself from getting it and keep myself from spreading it, then I can help the overall, society. What about panic? There is some panic going on. I went to buy some Kleenex for my mom and dad, and I couldn't because the stores are all out, which means, somebody probably has a garage full of them somewhere, People are also hoarding bottled water, and keep in mind this isn't a waterborne infectious agent. It's not in the water, so your water's just fine. I guess the only reason to buy bottled water, I can't think of a reason to buy bottled water. If you're concerned about water being available in the future, which is really drastic concern, then, bottle it up at home. Just bottle up the tap water while you got it, because I've still got it. I don't know about anybody else. I'm assuming that most people already still have their water in this country. So it's a little bit overblown, I think. As far as I know, there will be no disruption in supply lines or the operation of stores. I really appreciate the folks that are continuing to come to work in the grocery stores and other places where, we need to get our necessary supplies. And I actually work for a food company, and I know personally that my company is taking very seriously the need to keep those supply lines going. So I know that's definitely going to happen. So you don't have to worry about running out of these things. Just buy what you normally buy. I'm going to the grocery store as I need to. I'm not stocking up. I'm not hoarding anything. I'm working from home per my company guidelines because my job doesn't require that I be in an office. And I'm not attending any unnecessary events or gatherings. I'm not going to some meetings and social things that I would usually do. I've been out to restaurants a couple of times, but I'm really kind of cutting back on that as well. And my gym is closed, so can't go to the gym if I wanted to, but I can still exercise by walking. So I'm still able to get everything I need to get. I don't have any fear of not being able to do that. And I'm still able to do the things that I need to do. Now, not everybody might not be in this situation. You might be in a situation where you're unable to work from home. You have to be out in public, like if you do work in a store, a grocery store, or a convenience store, gas station. There are plenty of places where you have to be in contact with the public, and you just have to be really careful and do those things that are recommended. I went into a convenience store the other day and I saw the person that was checking me out had gloves on, So they were wearing gloves. And I've just seen a lot of disinfectant around and a lot of people just being careful. I hope this has been helpful for you to understand more about what's going on with the coronavirus pandemic. Ignorance breeds fear, and fear leads to even worse things, a lot of bad things. Fear is a very dangerous thing, right? But ignorance breeds fear, so the more we know, the healthier we'll be, both physically as individuals and as a society. So I guess I didn't actually mention the symptoms of the virus. So you should know they're similar to the body's reaction to any virus, namely coughing, fever, and you might also have shortness of breath. If you have these symptoms, contact your doctor. If you have a fever, for good health, not a physical fever, keep it and help others to catch it. Otherwise, you want to try to prevent the spread of fever. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next time on Running Acute.